Well, joining me now for all of this is Dan Yet. He's the CEO of CollegeNode. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. So Dan, the number of Chinese students studying in the US fell for the first time in 10 years. What does that tell you? Have American universities lost their luster? Is it the pandemic at play?
It's mostly a pandemic. So the numbers we have right now is from 2021. And if you remember, 2021 was a pretty bad year for the United States. The vaccine just came out and the Omicron was hitting in the winter. So that was a really bad year. And if you don't know, what's going to happen when you study in the United States, a lot of students simply stayed home.
Gotcha. And traditionally, what are Chinese students looking for when they choose to study in foreign universities? What factors spur them to decide on one country over another?
Well, ultimately, it comes down to jobs, right? So you go to university, and that's a training for getting a good job in the future. So a lot of factors are at play, but the primary factor is, can I get a good job after I study here? And there's a lot of countries that are competing for Chinese students. And traditionally, United States has been the biggest destination. But I see many other countries stepping up their game recently. So there's more and more competition for the United States in the coming years.
So do Chinese students who study overseas have different opportunities when they return back to China? How do employers weigh all of this?
Well, so the Chinese economy has been growing quite a bit in the last 20 years, and that created a lot of new jobs. And when you create that many new jobs, many of which requires the person to speak English. So a lot of these returnees with their language skills are very valuable to Chinese companies and multinational companies because they have to work with clients in China and outside of China. And also we're seeing the amount of salary China can offer is quickly catching up in many of the sectors. So for example, in 2010, the artificial intelligence job in China pays about a third compared to the United States, where this discrepancy largely have disappeared in the recent years. So China become a very attractive destination because the jobs are there and the students ultimately follow where the jobs are.
That's really interesting. I'm glad you brought up salary because as we heard in that report earlier, the number of Chinese students returning to China after obtaining a foreign degree is really rising. We heard that it was because of business opportunities. Now you're saying because salaries are rising. So basically you're saying now that China has become really attractive for, basically job seekers.
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, I know a lot of students, they really compare the salary offers. And if Chinese jobs offer, 10% more, that's very attractive, right? So ultimately, it's a personal decision, and there are many factors in play. But I do see the employment as one of the most important ones, and likely more important than the other factors altogether. People need jobs, right? Like that's why we go to college for.
That's why I went to college. Dan Yet, CEO of CollegeNode, really good to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you.